In Mike Mentzer's magnum opus, Heavy Duty 2, Mind and Body, he put forth what he called the ideal routine. The routine took shape over several years of his working with personal training clients who were natural, that is, who did not use steroids and wanted to gain muscle size and strength naturally. In the version of the ideal routine Mike recommended a training frequency of once every 96 hours, or 4 days, to ensure full recovery and adaptation from the previous workout. As he explained during a seminar in the early 1980s,
what's the first thing your body has to do after a workout? You stimulate growth first, hopefully. If you train hard enough and stimulated growth, you will grow, but what has to happen first of all? Recover. If you allow enough time for recovery, then you have to allow enough time for growth. If you do those three things, stimulate growth, number one, allow enough time for recovery, it does take time, depending upon the severity of the exercise and the volume of the exercise. Then another block of time is required for that growth to manifest itself. Growth never precedes recovery. Recovery always comes first. You don't need a 21-inch arm to survive, but you do need to continually recover and replace your precious physical resources and reserves.
The routine that follows is radically different from the type you may be accustomed to reading about elsewhere online. The first thing that will strike you about it is that it is very brief. The second thing is that, compared to most bodybuilding programs, the workouts are performed very infrequently. However, this is as it must be, as it is very demanding, but this is also what makes it so productive. This high degree of difficulty necessitates that the workouts be brief and performed infrequently. If a scheduling conflict makes it impossible for you to get into the gym on that fourth day, wait one more day. Go to the fifth day instead of the fourth. And now, here is the ideal routine. Workout 1. Chest and back. The first exercise in workout 1 will be either pec deck or dumbbell flies, and this will depend upon what equipment you have available to you. Let's examine what muscles are involved in both exercises, as well as how to perform them. The pec deck machine involves the use of several muscle groups, some primarily, others secondarily. The primary muscle group involved is the pectoralis major, which is engaged during horizontal adduction, or bringing the arms together. The secondary muscles involved are the anterior deltoid, or front shoulder, which assists in arm flexion and stabilization, and the long head of the triceps, which provides for shoulder joint stability. According to Mike, to utilize the pec deck, sit down inside the machine and position your lower arms perpendicular to the floor with your forearms flat against the movement pads. Push evenly against both pads at once, ending the rep when the movement arms meet in the middle. Pause in the contracted position, then perform the negative part of the movement under full muscular control. Perform one set of 6 to 10 repetitions until failure. If you are using dumbbell flies as your first exercise, the primary muscle involved is also the pectoralis major, which, again, is engaged during horizontal adduction. The secondary muscles involved in this exercise are the anterior deltoid, which assists in arm movement and stabilization, and the short head of the biceps, which serves to stabilize the shoulder joint and assists in arm movement. If you are using dumbbell flies as the isolation exercise for the pecs, here is Mike's recommendation. With the dumbbells together over the face, lower them to the sides with the elbows pulled back and out to the sides. Lower to a position just below the plane of the torso and no further, or you might injure your shoulder. Keeping the angle in the elbows consistent throughout the raising of the weight back to the top will stress the pecs, preserve the tricep strength, and reduce strain on the connective tissue in the crook of the elbow. It doesn't matter if the weights touch at the top, since at that point, there is no resistance to fight against anyway. Move immediately upon completion of one set of 6 to 10 repetitions in this exercise to the point of muscular failure to the next exercise. The incline press, performed with either a barbell or on a machine. The primary muscle group involved in this exercise is the pectoralis major, which is involved in shoulder flexion and in the pressing movement. The secondary muscles involved in this exercise are the anterior deltoid, which assists in pressing and arm elevation, and all three heads of the triceps muscle, which are engaged to extend the elbow during the pressing motion. With a shoulder-width grip, lower the bar to the neck slowly, with the elbows pointed directly out to the side. It is the position of the elbows, more than the hand spacing, that places the greatest stress on the pecs. A common training mistake is to do this exercise with a wide hand spacing, with the idea that this stretches the pecs more. Actually, just the opposite is true. A closer hand spacing causes the pecs to stretch and work over a greater range of motion. As proof, witness how little the humerus, or upper arm, which is the insertion point for the pecs, moves in a wide grip incline or regular bench press. Since the function of the pecs is to bring the upper arm into and across the midline of the torso, the elbows must be held out to the sides so the pecs can perform their function in this exercise. Perform one set of 1 to 3 repetitions until failure. Moving on to the back workout. The first exercise is palms up, close grip, lat pull downs. The primary muscle group involved in this exercise is the latissimus dorsi, or lats, which is directly involved in shoulder adduction, bringing arms down, extension, and spinal stabilization. The secondary muscles involved in this exercise are both the long and short heads of the biceps muscles, which assist elbow flexion and in the pulling motion, the forearm flexors, brachialis and brachioradialis, which assist in gripping and pulling the resistance, and the abdominals, the rectus abdominis and obliques, which serve to provide strong stabilization during the pull-down, preventing excessive spinal extension. The underhand grip is used because it places the biceps into their strongest position. Most bodybuilders use the palms down overhead grip that places the biceps in a weak position, limiting the degree to which you can work your back. Another mistake made by bodybuilders is using the wide grip in the pull-down and in chinning movements. Rather than stretch the lats, which is the logic behind using the wide grip, the wide grip actually reduces the stretch or the range of motion over which the lats contract. Pull the bar from overhead into the chest around the nipple area, hold for a pause, and return slowly to the top. Perform one set of 6 to 10 repetitions until failure. The final exercise for the back is regular barbell deadlifts. The primary muscles involved are the gluteus maximus, or buttocks, which are responsible for hip extension in driving the body upward. The hamstrings, consisting of the biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus, which assist in hip extension and knee stabilization. The erector spinae, or lower back muscles, which come into play to maintain an upright posture and prevent spinal rounding. The secondary muscles engaged in this exercise are all 4 heads of the quadriceps, which assist in knee extension at the beginning of the lift, the trapezius of the upper back, which help to stabilize the shoulders and upper back, the forearm muscles, both flexors and extensors, which are engaged in gripping the barbell, and the abdominals, the rectus abdominis, obliques, and transverse abdominis, which provide trunk stabilization and prevent excessive forward bending. The best way to visualize the proper performance of the deadlift is to imagine it as a combination of a deep knee bend and toe touch. Start with the barbell rolled back flush against the shins, then grasp it with a slightly wider than shoulder width grip. You can use a regular grip, or if the weight is really heavy, use an over-under grip in which one palm faces forward and the other backward for greater strength. Bend down in such a manner that your shoulders are higher than your hips or buttocks. And most importantly, keep your back flat and your head up. With arms perfectly straight and no jerking or pulling, stand up with the bar until your body is perpendicular to the ground. Upon reaching the top, pause briefly and lower under control to the floor in the same manner as you lifted, back flat and head up. Once the barbell is on the floor, reassume the proper form, reset psychologically, take a deep breath, and repeat. Perform one set of 5 to 8 reps until failure. Now take 3 days off and, on the 4th day, you will train your legs. In both his Heavy Duty 1 and Heavy Duty 2 books, Mike recommended performing one set of 6 to 10 repetitions until failure for the leg muscles, with the exception of calves, which he recommended training with 12 to 20 repetitions. The first exercise in Workout 2 is the leg extension. The primary muscle group involved is the quadriceps, the function of which is to extend the knee, straightening the leg against resistance. The secondary muscles involved in this movement are the hip flexors, which assist in lifting the thigh and stabilizing the leg. The tibialis anterior, the muscle on the front of the shin, which aids in dorsiflexion or pulling the toes up, contributes to leg stabilization. To perform this exercise, sit firmly in the seat with your back against the pad. Position so that your lower legs hang freely, with the back of the knees at the edge of the seat pad. Adjust the machine or your position so that the area just slightly above the front of the ankles makes contact with the pads of the movement arm. While grasping the handles lightly to stabilize yourself, move against the ankle pads evenly and deliberately so that the lower legs move out and up until your knees are locked and you're in the straight-legged position. Pause for 2 seconds and then lower under control. This is the perfect exercise for isolating and working the quadriceps on the front of the thighs. Perform one set of 6 to 10 reps until failure. With 0 rest after the leg extension exercise, proceed to the second exercise in the workout, the leg press. The primary muscle group involved in this exercise is the quadriceps. All 4 heads, rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and vastus intermedius, which function to extend the knee as you push the weight away. The secondary muscles involved in this exercise are the gluteus maximus or buttocks, which assist in hip extension, the hamstrings, which assist in knee flexion and hip extension, and the calves, the gastrocnemius and soleus, which serve to stabilize the ankle and assists in pushing force through the feet. Leg presses can be done either vertically or on a horizontal or 45-degree machine, depending upon what equipment is available to you. Place your feet shoulder width or slightly wider than shoulder width on the footboard and point them out a bit. Your hips should be placed so you feel stable while bending your legs. Bend your legs, lowering your thighs until they almost hit the chest. Then immediately, without any bouncing, begin a controlled ascent to the top straight-legged position. Perform one set of 6 to 10 reps until failure. The final exercise of the workout is standing calf raises. The primary muscle involved in this exercise is the gastrocnemius, the two-headed muscle of the calf, which engages whenever plantar flexion or raising the heel off the ground is required. The secondary muscles involved in this exercise are the soleus, the deep calf muscle, which assists in plantar flexion, the tibialis posterior, and peroneals, or stabilizing muscles, which help to stabilize the ankle and foot during the movement. Step under the shoulder pads and place the balls of your feet onto the crossboard, which is several inches off the ground. With your body perfectly straight and knees absolutely locked, raise up on the balls of your feet as high as you can go. This is important as it makes for a full, high-intensity contraction, which is necessary for full stimulation of the muscle. Having achieved that position, hold it for 2 to 3 seconds, then lower under control. Perform one set of 12 to 20 repetitions until failure. Now take 3 days off, and on the 4th day, return to the gym to train your shoulders and arms. Workout 3 begins with the shoulders, and the first exercise performed is the standing dumbbell lateral raise. The primary muscle involved in this exercise is the lateral deltoid, or middle shoulder head, which abducts the arm, raising it away from the body. The secondary muscles involved are the anterior deltoid, which contributes to raising the arm, the supraspinatus, which initiates arm abduction and stabilizes the shoulder joint, and the trapezius, which assists in shoulder elevation and scapular stabilization. While holding a dumbbell in each hand, rest the dumbbells to the sides of your thighs, palms facing your thighs. With a slight bend in the elbows, raise them from that position until your arms are parallel to the ground. Don't raise them to the front, but laterally, directly up from the side of the body. From the top, lower slowly and feel the weight all the way back to the starting position. Perform one set of 6 to 10 repetitions until failure. The next exercise is bent over dumbbell lateral raises. The primary muscle involved in this exercise is the posterior deltoid, or rear shoulder head, which engages when one horizontally abducts the arm, or moves it backward. The secondary muscles involved in this exercise are the rhomboids of the upper back, which retracts the scapula to stabilize the shoulder blades, the trapezius, which assists in scapular movement and postural stability, along with the infraspinatus and teres minor muscles that provide shoulder joint stability and assist in external rotation. While bending over at the waist with a slight bend in the knees, with the torso parallel to the floor, raise the dumbbells until the arms move as far above the torso as possible. Pause, and then lower under control. Do 6 to 10 repetitions. That concludes the shoulder workout. Moving on to the arm muscles, our first exercise is standing barbell curls. The primary muscle involved are the long and short heads of the biceps muscle, which are responsible for elbow flexion, or bending the arm, and forearm supination, turning the palm up. The secondary muscles involved in the exercise are the brachialis, which provides additional elbow flexion strength, and the brachioradialis, which assists in elbow flexion, particularly when lifting heavier loads. Grasp the bar with a shoulder-width grip without any sudden jerking, yanking, or thrusting to get the weight started. Curl the bar under strict control, while keeping your elbows tucked in at the waist. Allow the arms to extend fully at the bottom, and curl all the way to the contracted position where the bar touches the clavicles. Upon reaching the top, pause only slightly and lower under control. You will notice that the hardest part of the curl is at the point when the forearms are in a position perfectly parallel to the floor. This is the only point in the range of motion where you have direct resistance, because here you will be pulling straight up while the bar is being pulled straight down. It is important that you fight the weight through that point rather than lean back with the body as leverage to help. Perform one set of 6 to 10 repetitions until failure. The next exercise in the shoulder and arm workout is triceps press downs. The primary muscle engaged in this exercise is the triceps, and all three heads of it, the long, lateral, and medial heads, which are activated in elbow extension, or straightening the arm. The secondary muscles involved are the anconeus, a small muscle near the elbow, which assists the triceps in elbow stabilization and extension, the abdominals and obliques for maintaining trunk stability, and the forearm muscles, both flexors and extensors, which work together to stabilize the wrists and grip the handlebar. With a machine similar to the lat pull-down, grasp the bar in front of you with a close grip, hands 8 inches apart, with your elbows tucked in at the sides of your waist. There should be no traveling of the upper arms away from the tucked at the waist stable position, or the pectorals and latissimus dorsi will come into play. Extend the bar downwards with the body held straight up, so that body leverage does not aid in the movement. Lock the elbows firmly at the bottom and pause momentarily before allowing the bar to return slowly to the extended position. Perform 6 to 10 repetitions until failure, and then immediately perform the next exercise. Dips between parallel bars. The primary muscles in this exercise are all three heads of the triceps, which work to extend the elbow, straightening the arms against resistance, and the pectoralis major, which contributes in the pressing movement, particularly when leaning forward. The secondary muscles involved are the anterior deltoid, which assists in shoulder flexion and stability during the dip, the serratus anterior, which stabilizes the scapula, keeping the shoulders from collapsing inward, the abdominals, and the forearm muscles, which stabilizes the wrists and supports body weight. Dips performed for the tricep should be done with the elbows held in close to the body, and the legs held slightly back away from the body so that you are tipped forward. As with all exercise, perform the dips in a slow and deliberate manner, going all the way down at the bottom and locking the elbows at the top. Perform one set of 3 to 5 repetitions until failure. That concludes this workout. Now take 3 days off, and on the 4th day, head back to the gym to train legs again, starting with leg extensions, which, as we've already seen, work the quadriceps, the hip flexors, and the frontal shin muscles. However, instead of immediately moving on to leg presses, in this workout the trainee will perform squats, either with a barbell while in a power rack, or on a guided mechanism such as a Smith machine. The primary muscles involved in the squat are the quadriceps, the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and the vastus intermedius, which work together to extend the knee, lifting the body from the squat position. Also involved are the gluteus maximus, which extends the hips, driving the body upward. The secondary muscles involved in this exercise are the hamstrings, the biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus, which assist in hip extension and knee stabilization. The erector spinae, or lower back muscles, which maintain a stable, upright posture during the movement. Other muscles of the trunk, such as the rectus abdominis, transverse abdominis, and obliques, provide trunk stability and prevent excessive forward leaning, while the calves, both the gastrocnemius and soleus, serve to stabilize the ankle during the squat. Place the bar on the upper back, below the nape of the neck, across the trapezius. With feet slightly wider than shoulder width and angled outward, descend in a deep knee bend fashion with your back flat and head up until the thighs are parallel to the ground and no lower. Then, immediately, without any bouncing, begin a controlled ascent to the top, straight-legged position. Once you've reached the top, pause only long enough to take a deep breath and repeat. Perform one set of 6 to 10 reps until failure. The final exercise in workout 4 is standing calf raises, which we've already covered, and that involves the gastrocnemius, the soleus, the tibialis posterior, and peroneals, which serve to maintain ankle and foot stability. Once you complete this workout, take 3 days off and then return to the gym on the 4th day, where you will begin the 4-workout cycle over again, starting with chest and back. That explains the workouts. Now let's move on to some additional elements. Warming up. Make sure that you spend some time warming the muscles to be worked. However, it is not necessary to stretch the muscles, perform aerobic work, or engage in any more exercise than is minimally required to limber up and increase the blood flow to the specific muscles you're working that day. Using the deadlift as an example, if you're able to handle 165 pounds for 7 reps on your working set, start your warm-up with 115 pounds for 7 to 10 easy reps to get the blood flowing into the area, and then one more set with 145 pounds for 2 or 3 reps to mentally prepare you for the heavier set to follow. Where pre-exhaust cycles are listed, start the warm-up with the second exercise. For example, warm up with leg presses in the case of the leg extension leg press pre-exhaustion cycle. This will ensure that you'll have warmed up all the necessary muscles, including the quadriceps for the leg extensions, and enable you to preset the leg press weight. If you don't warm up with leg presses, which works multiple muscles simultaneously, and instead start with the leg extension, your auxiliary muscles will be cold, and the weight won't be preset, making it difficult to move with no rest directly to the leg press station. Warm-up needs will vary among individuals according to age, existing condition, and of course, the temperature of the gym you work out in. Keep in mind, too, that the first few reps of this high-intensity, low-force program serve as a further warm-up. The guiding principle here is perform the minimal amount of exercise required to achieve an actual warm-up. Mike recommended that you keep a training logbook, which records your workout progress or lack thereof. If your weights and repetitions are increasing, then you know you are recovering and adapting to the training stress, using whatever training volume and frequency you are presently employing. If you are not making progress in weights and reps, then you are allowing enough time for recovery, but not enough time for adaptation or growth. And if you're getting weaker, that is, your repetitions and weights are going down, then you're not allowing enough time to pass for recovery to take place. That's a snapshot of the process. In other videos on this channel, Mike goes into greater detail about this if you should wish to explore the matter further.